Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside Thailand. Today's email comes from Oliver, a 65-year-old from Manchester who thought he'd finally found peace and maybe even love in the land of smiles. He'd worked nearly 5 decades, saved £220,000 and planned to spend the rest of his days enjoying cheap living, warm weather and quiet mornings. But then he met Toon, a 20-year-old who made him believe down to his bones that she loved him for him, not for his money. Over the next year, Oliver would pour his heart, his trust, and most of his life savings into building her dream, only to wake up one morning to an empty bed, a drained bank account, and a future he never saw coming. It's raw, it's personal, and it's the kind of story that'll make you question just how well you can ever really know someone. So here's Oliver's story, in his own words. Hey mate, I'm Oliver, born and bred in Manchester. Spent 47 years with Royal Mail, sorting letters, dealing with rain, traffic, and managers who couldn't organise a piss-up in a brewery. I retired at 65 with a decent little payout, £220,000 in savings, give or take, and no one waiting for me back home. Divorced twice. First wife ran off with a bloke from Bolton, second one just drifted. I've got 2 grown kids who barely call unless they want something, and the last time I felt wanted by anyone was when a stray cat curled up in my lap outside Greg's. I didn't want much out of retirement. I just didn't want to die grey, cold and alone in some housing estate eating microwave curries. So I packed up, sold the house and booked a one-way flight to Chiang Mai. It was meant to be a clean break, a new chapter. Cheap food, warm weather and peace. I remember that first morning like it was yesterday, sat at a tiny cafe off Moon Muang Road with a hot cup of Thai coffee and a view of the temple across the street. The air smelled like grilled pork and jasmine, and for the first time in years, I felt still. No work, no stress, no bloody BBC headlines, just me and the buzz of scooters going by. I told myself I wasn't going to be that guy, the old Farang chasing girls half his age. I had no interest in that. I wasn't looking for love. I wanted simplicity. Maybe some company now and again, sure, but mostly I just wanted to be. I had my budget, £1,200 a month, all planned out. I'd stretch that out, live slow, maybe take up painting again or volunteer at a school. But Thailand doesn't care about your plans. It's got a way of peeling back your soul and showing you parts of yourself you didn't know were still there, parts you thought were long dead and buried. And for me, that part was hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, it wasn't too late to feel something again. And then I met Toon. It was about a month after I got settled in Chiang Mai when I met her. I'd wandered into this little mobile phone accessories shop, one of those places crammed between a vape store and a massage joint, selling knockoff chargers and cases with cartoon bears on them. I was just looking for a cheap case for my ancient Samsung. Didn't expect anything more. She was behind the counter, hunched over a Hello Kitty notebook, scribbling something in what looked like bubble letters. She looked up, smiled and said, "Hello, Lung." That's what they call older guys here. Lung, which means uncle. Charming, right? I laughed. Said, "I'm not that bloody old." She giggled, braces and all, and said, Sorry. You look strong. Maybe P-car instead." That's how it started. Silly, harmless, funny. Her name was Toon, short for cartoon, believe it or not. She was 20. Born the same year England got knocked out of the World Cup by bloody Croatia or some other heartbreak I've forgotten. Now listen, I know what you're thinking. I'm 65. She's 20. That's not a gap, that's a canyon. I knew it. Felt it straight away. But there was something about her. She didn't flirt like some of the other girls around here. No fake eyelashes, no baby voice, no asking if I wanted boom boom. She was cheeky, but not pushy. Smart in this innocent sort of way. Said she liked English tea and wanted to visit London someday. I told her it rained too much and smelled like piss. She laughed so hard she nearly knocked over a rack of phone cases. Over the next few weeks, I found myself making excuses to swing by her shop. One time my charger broke, another time I just needed a SIM card. Even though mine worked fine, she'd offer me fruit or iced tea in a cup with a plastic seal and some cartoon panda on it. We'd sit in the back of the shop when it was quiet and just talk. She asked about my life, not in a nosy way, more like she was genuinely curious. Wanted to know what it was like to grow up in England, what snow felt like, what my job had been. She'd squint when I talked too fast and mimic my accent back at me, all wrong. It cracked her up every time. One day, out of nowhere, she asked, "Why are you alone?" I shrugged. "Just the way life turned out." She nodded like she understood. Then she said softly, "I alone too." I didn't know what to say to that, so I said nothing. Later, I'd find out she wasn't alone. Not really, but in that moment, sitting across from a girl young enough to be my granddaughter, sipping cold tea and laughing about nothing, I felt something I hadn't in years. Warmth, like someone actually saw me. Toon had that effect on you. She'd light up a room without trying. She was clumsy, once tripped over her own sandals and spilled milk tea all over a customer's phone, but she'd laugh at herself, and suddenly everyone would forgive her. She was like a bloody firework in slow motion. Beautiful, bright, and probably dangerous. But I didn't care. I wasn't in love yet. But the hook was in, and I didn't even feel it go in. I kept waiting for the moment she'd ask for something. A phone, a new scooter, a gold necklace, anything really. I'd heard the stories. Every Farang in Thailand has a tale about the sweet young thing who turned out to be sweeter on their bank account than their heart. I thought maybe she'd play it slow, bide her time, ease me in. But Toon never asked, not once. She'd wave off my offers like I was insulting her. I tried to give her some money for lunch once, and she laughed, actually laughed, and said, "I have hand, I can work." That line stuck with me. I've had women twice her age play the helpless card. But here she was, 20 years old, working 6 days a week selling knockoff chargers, refusing handouts from a man who could have bought her half the shop. I took her out for dinner, nothing fancy, just cow soy at a place by the moat. She showed up in jeans and a t-shirt with Pikachu on it. No makeup, hair still wet. I told her she looked cute. She scrunched up her nose and said, "I look like baby." She asked me questions all night, not about money or what I owned. She wanted to know what snow felt like, what it was like to kiss someone for the first time. Told me she never had a boyfriend, not a real one. Said Thai boys only wanted one thing. I didn't know if that was true, but I believed her. She told me she liked older men because they were kind, gentle, patient. "You listen," she said. "Young boy never listen. Just phone, phone, phone." It was around that time she started calling me Tirak, darling. She'd say it when I handed her a drink or when I teased her about her terrible English. She started texting me every morning. "Good morning, Tirak. Have nice day." And every night, "Dream good dream, babe." I'll admit it now. I started falling for her hard. I didn't stand a chance. She didn't try to seduce me. She didn't need to. She made me feel wanted. And at my age, that's rarer than gold. There was one day, stupid thing really, where she came over to my condo and saw my old iPod on the table. She picked it up like it was some kind of ancient relic. "What this? It's music from the Stone Age." She put the earphones in, clicked through the songs, and suddenly Madonna starts blaring out. She gasps and yells, "Oh, my mum loved this song. When she cleaning house." I nearly spat out my coffee. I looked at her, really looked, and thought, what the hell am I doing? She was a child when I was getting my second divorce. Her mum was probably younger than me. Her world was TikTok and bubble tea. Mine was arthritis meds, and trying to remember what I walked into the room for, but the way she smiled when I put on the Beatles, the way she leaned her head on my shoulder and hummed along, even though she didn't know the words. For a moment I let myself believe it didn't matter. That love, or whatever this was, didn't care about numbers. And maybe, just maybe, this young woman saw something in me worth loving. That was the most dangerous part. Because once I believed she wasn't after my money, that's when she really had me. It wasn't planned. Not really. She was already staying over a couple nights a week. At first, it was innocent. She'd fall asleep on the couch after a movie, or say it was too late to get a grab bike back. Then, it was her toothbrush showing up in the bathroom, a pair of slippers by the door, her pink Hello Kitty hoodie hanging on the back of my chair. One night she brought over a rice cooker, just plopped it on the counter and said, "Now I cook for you every day, okay?" And that was it. She was moved in. I didn't resist. Truth is, I loved it. For the first time in, hell, I don't even know how long, the flat felt alive. She'd be singing some Thai pop tune at 7 a.m. while chopping mangoes, or fussing about how I was cutting the papaya wrong, like it mattered. I'd sit at the table with my coffee, watching her flit around in pyjama shorts and socks with cartoon pigs on them, thinking, this can't be real, can it? She even cleaned. Properly. Not that half-arsed dusting I'd been doing. No, she got in the corners, lifted the sofa cushions, wiped down the fans, said dust makes you have old man cough. I told her I am an old man. She smacked my arm and said, "No, you strong. You my Superman." I should have laughed it off, but I didn't. I let it soak in. That little compliment. That silly nickname. Superman. At 65, with knees like rusted hinges and a gut that jiggles when I sneeze. Toon started helping with my paperwork too. 90-day check-ins, visa stuff, paying bills. I don't know how I managed before her. Every time I got confused, she'd appear like a little GPS angel, pointing the way, calling immigration on my behalf, translating with a smile. She made everything easier, lighter. I remember her giving me a birthday card, hand-drawn, hearts, stick figures, badly written English. "Happy birthday, T-Rack. You make me feel safe. You are my forever. My forever." I cried when she wasn't looking. I hadn't felt like someone's forever since, I don't know, since my first marriage, maybe. And even that ended in tears and lawyers. We talked about the future sometimes. She'd joke about having a baby with big ears and a Manchester accent. I'd tell her I'd probably be dead before it was in school. She'd pout and say, "I take care. I love you long time." Not in the bar girl way. She meant it. Or so I thought. I started picturing life outside the city. Quieter. Simpler. Her dream of a little shop. Something we could build together. A juice bar. Maybe a laundry service out back. One of those hybrid places every village seems to have. She'd light up whenever she talked about it. Said her mum would be proud. Said she'd work hard. She didn't want money. She wanted a purpose. And I believed her because she'd never asked me for anything yet. That's what made it so dangerous. It wasn't greed. It was hope. Hope that I could finally give someone the life they deserved, and that maybe, just maybe, they wanted me more than the money that came with me. It was one of those slow Sunday mornings. I was sitting on the balcony, drinking instant coffee and swatting mosquitoes, when Toon came out wearing my oversized Man City t-shirt, which she'd claimed as her own by then, and sat in my lap like a cat. She had this serious look on her face, like she was about to confess she'd crashed my scooter. Instead, she said, "I want to tell you something, but not because I want anything." I braced myself. She said she had a dream, a little juice bar in her hometown, out in the province near Nan. She wanted to serve fruit smoothies and do laundry in the back, because people always thirsty and dirty, she said with a giggle. I laughed too. It sounded silly, but then she started describing it. The layout, the colours, the name, Toon Station. She even had sketches in her notebook. She said her mum owned a bit of land, but they had no money to build anything. And before I could even offer, she cut in, "No ask. I tell you because I love you." Mate, that gutted me. She said it with tears in her eyes. Said she didn't want to be some girl who just sits home and spends her boyfriend's money. Said she wanted to build something for us. That night I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling fan for hours thinking, I'd come to Thailand to find peace, not a bloody business. But this wasn't about money. This was about meaning. She wanted a life, a future. She wanted to be someone, not just some Farang's pet. So I said yes. I told her I'd help, not just because I loved her, though by then I definitely did, but because I believed in her spirit, her hustle, that glow she got when she talked about blending mangoes and folding socks. We sat down and ran the numbers. She said the build would cost around 1.2 million baht, maybe 1.4 with furniture and signage. That's about £30,000, give or take. It was a big chunk. But I still had close to £190,000 left. I figured, why not? I'd never built anything before. Not a business. Not even a garden shed. But I could help her build her dream. We talked about splitting it 50-50, just for appearances. But of course, everything had to go in her name. Thai law. Can't own land as a foreigner. She promised she'd put my name on the sign. Owner. Oliver and Toon. That made me smile. So I wired the money over 3 transfers. No contracts, no lawyers, just trust and love and hope. And that, my friend, is where the real story begins. Because once the money left my account, things started to change. Not all at once, just little shifts, barely noticeable at first. But looking back, they were the first cracks in a very pretty picture. They always say hindsight's 20/20. At the time, though, it just felt like life, messy, expensive, but full of promise. After I sent the money, Toon got busy straight away. She travelled to her village to meet a builder, her uncle, apparently, and sent me photos every day. A slab of concrete here, a delivery of bricks there, selfies with a hard hat and a mango smoothie. She looked happy. Proud, like she was really doing something for herself. I felt proud too. I'd never built anything in my life, not even IKEA furniture, but this felt like ours. That pride started costing me, quietly. At first, it was little things. Baby, shop need better blender, cheap one break easy. That's £300. We need big fridge, not small, many fruit. Another £800. Uncle say roof more strong if we use better steel. Need 60,000 baht more. That's £1,300. Can buy moto for delivery. No need new. Just second hand. Maybe 100,000 baht. £2,500. And so on. It all made sense. It wasn't gold chains or iPhones. It was shop stuff, business expenses. She showed me invoices, scribbled estimates from builders, photos of receipts. Some real, some I'd later realise were absolute bollocks. But in the moment I trusted her, because she wasn't asking, she was including me, like a partner. Around that same time, the family drama kicked in. First, it was her mum. Stomach problem. Need operation. That was £3,000. Then her little brother. School almost finished, but need pay for uniform and books. That's £2,000. I asked where his dad was. She said, run away when I small. How do you argue with that? Toon cried when I gave her the envelope for the hospital bill. Not big sobs, just quiet tears, wiping her eyes with my shirt sleeve. Said I was the kindest man she'd ever met. Said no one ever helped my family like you. That was the moment, right there. That's when I stopped keeping track of the money. I was still withdrawing from the retirement pot, of course, still logging into my online banking, but I stopped obsessing. If she needed it, I gave it. If the cafe needed more chairs, if the sign needed neon, if the neighbour's cat needed a vet, I was there with my wallet open. Even our daily life got more expensive. Rent bumped up when we moved to a slightly nicer place, closer to the construction site. 15,000 baht per month, approximately £330. She wanted a small air conditioner installed, another £600. We bought a second rice cooker for the shop. She needed a laptop. I found a decent one for £900. I took her to Bangkok once. Business, she said. We stayed 2 nights. Fancy hotel. That weekend alone was nearly £1,000 all in. And look, I wasn't blind. I noticed the little things. The clothes getting fancier. The phone getting newer. The nails suddenly always perfect. But I told myself, she deserves it. She's working hard. Building something real. She loves me. Didn't help that I was drunk on it too. The feeling of being useful again. Relevant. Wanted. By the time I sat down one night and tallied up the numbers, what I'd wired, what I'd pulled out at ATMs, what I'd transferred to her account on a whim, it didn't sink in all at once. It crept in, quiet and cruel. I'd spent another £50,000 on top of the original £30,000 investment. That's £80,000 total in less than a year. And at that point, I still hadn't seen a single cup of juice sold. Not one. It was a Friday. Not that it matters, really. But I remember because I'd just stocked the fridge with her favourite passion fruit yoghurt, the kind with the little chewy seeds in it. I was feeling good, calm. Thought we'd turned a corner. The cafe was nearly finished. She'd said we should start shopping for a uniform. Wanted me to wear a silly little apron with pineapples on it. I laughed and told her only if I could pick the colour. That morning, I made toast. She was still in bed. I brought her a cup of tea, milk, no sugar, just how she liked it, and left it on the nightstand. She mumbled something and rolled over. That was the last thing I ever heard her say. I went into the shower. 10, maybe 15 minutes. When I came out, the flat was quiet. Not peaceful, not normal, empty. At first I thought she'd gone to the market, but her shoes were gone. So was her phone, her laptop, the stuffed rabbit I bought her at the night bazaar. Even Fishball, the cat she pretended to hate, but secretly cuddled when she thought I wasn't looking. He was gone too. I checked the wardrobe. Cleared out, my stomach turned. Not from panic, not yet, but from this creeping sense that something was wrong, like a draft you only feel after the window's been open all night. I looked at the side table where she kept our paperwork. My ATM card, gone. Passport, gone. The last 30,000 baht I kept in cash for emergencies, you guessed it, gone. I tried calling her, straight to voicemail, line blocked, Facebook vanished, Instagram wiped, just gone. Like she'd never existed. I threw on clothes and rushed to the juice bar, still locked, still unfinished, with a sad little banner fluttering in the wind that said, "Opening soon." A neighbour sitting on a plastic stool looked at me and said in broken English, "Toon go Bangkok, big bag, Korean man come pick her up." I didn't even respond, just stood there, holding the keys to a building I didn't own, next to a sign I'd paid for, in a village where I didn't belong. Back home, I logged into my online banking, hands shaking, heart thudding so loud I could barely hear the fan. She'd drained another £10,000 from my account in 3 days. Transfers, PayPal payments, ATM withdrawals in Bangkok. That's when it sank in. This wasn't a breakup. This was a robbery in slow motion, with smiles and cuddles and whispered, "I love yous." She didn't fall out of love. She was never in it. And the worst part, I still hoped she'd text. Just one message, something, anything. But nothing came. Not that day, not the next, not ever. The morning after she vanished, I was at the local police station before the doors even opened. I had everything. Screenshots of our messages, photos of the cafe, bank statements showing the transfers, even a copy of the land papers in her name. I thought it was enough. In England, it would have been. Here, not even close. The officer behind the desk was a young bloke, maybe 30, with a perfect haircut and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He listened for about 2 minutes, nodding along while glancing at his phone every now and then. When I finished, he said, "She your wife?" I shook my head. "No, girlfriend." He shrugged. "Then money you give is gift, not crime." I tried to explain that she'd taken my passport, my ATM card, cash, that she'd cleaned me out. He tapped the desk with his pen and said, "She have your card? You give PIN?" "Yes," I admitted, "but—" He smiled, held up his hands like a man washing himself of trouble, and said, "Then not stealing. You give permission." That was it. I asked if they could at least check Bangkok for her. He chuckled, like I'd just asked if they could call the king. Then he poured me a cup of water and told me to be more careful next time. I walked out of there feeling smaller than I have in my entire life, not just because they wouldn't help, but because deep down, I knew he was right. I had given her everything. The money, the access, the trust. And she'd used all three to take the lot. I tried calling her mum. She picked up, listened in silence, and then said, "Toon busy now. Don't call." Click. Her sick mum, by the way? A mate later told me she lives in a luxury condo in Bangkok, paid for in cash. I'll let you do the maths on where that came from. By the time I got back to my flat, it was like the air had changed. The place smelled stale, quiet in a way I hated. Her slippers were gone from the door, but there was still a single hair clip on the coffee table, pink plastic, shaped like a bow. I stared at it for a long time, trying to decide whether to throw it away or keep it. It's still there now, in the same spot, not because I can't get rid of it, because I can't decide which would make me feel worse, keeping it or letting it go. It took me a week before I could face looking at the numbers properly. I'd been avoiding my online banking like it was a bad medical test result. You know, the one that's going to change everything, so you keep telling yourself you'll check it tomorrow. But tomorrow kept coming, and my stomach wouldn't let me eat until I knew. When I finally logged in, the truth sat there in cold, black and white. I'd come to Thailand with £220,000. Now I had just over £50,000 left. I went back through my transfers, ATM withdrawals, cash payments, every single baht accounted for. It looked something like this. £30,000, juice bar investment and land in her name. £50,000, extra costs, building overruns, furniture, motorbike, her mum's surgery, her brother's school fees, trips, living expenses for us both over 10 months, £10,000 cash she took from my flat when she left, £30,000 drained from my account after she vanished in 3 days flat, £50,000, my own living costs, visa renewals, rent, travel, and a handful of stupid splurges because I wanted to keep her smiling. Total gone in 1 year, £170,000. I stared at the final balance, £50,000, and it was like someone had quietly stolen not just my savings, but my future. That money wasn't for fun or for splashing around like a millionaire. It was meant to last me the rest of my life. My buffer, my security blanket. Now, instead of 15, maybe 20 years of comfort, I was looking at, 4, 5 if I lived cheap, less if I got sick. And here's the kicker, I still missed her. I still caught myself checking my phone, hoping for a message. I'd replay old voice notes she sent, the ones where she called me Tirak and told me she missed me. My head knew they were lies, but my heart's a bloody idiot. One night I was sat in a bar in Pai, drinking warm Leo, when a backpacker barely old enough to shave asked if I was all right. I don't know why, but I told him everything, all of it. By the time I was done, I'd gone from laughing at myself to choking back tears. He patted my shoulder and said, "Happens to a lot of guys here, mate. At least you've still got something left." I wanted to believe that, but something felt an awful lot like nothing. These days, my life's a lot quieter. I rent a tiny studio in Lampang for 5,000 baht a month, about £110. No aircon, just a fan that rattles like it's about to take off. I eat street food twice a day and instant noodles the third. Nights are long, and the silence has a way of creeping in like damp. I don't go near the tourist bars anymore. Too loud, too bright, too many smiles I don't trust. I spend my mornings watching the old men play chess in the park and my afternoons reading paperbacks I trade with a Canadian bloke down the road. Sometimes I still see Toon, not in person, on TikTok. She's dancing in a club, holding cocktails the size of fish bowls, wearing clothes I'm pretty sure I paid for. There's always some new man in the background, never the same one twice. And I'll be honest with you, I don't hate her. I wish I did. Hate's cleaner. Hate makes it easier to move on. But I don't. Because for a while, even if it was a lie, she made me feel something I thought was gone for good. Wanted, useful, loved. That's the most dangerous thing about coming here as an older man. It's not the scams, not the sob stories, not even the land laws. It's how quickly you'll trade your better judgment for a taste of feeling young again. So here's what I'd tell you. If you're thinking about it, don't confuse attention for affection. Don't mistake youth for innocence. And never, never give access to your money just because someone calls you Tirak and makes you breakfast. If you come here looking for magic, you'll find it. But magic, like fireworks, is beautiful right before it disappears and leaves you in the dark. As for me, I've got £50,000 left, no plan, and one useless souvenir. A pink plastic hair clip shaped like a bow. I keep it on the table, not because I can't throw it away, but because I still can't decide which would make me feel worse, keeping it or letting it go. Wow, thanks for sharing your story, Oliver. You hear a story like Oliver's and it's easy to sit there and say, I'd never fall for that. But that's the trap, isn't it? None of these blokes walk off the plane thinking they're going to hand over their retirement to a 20-year-old with braces and a TikTok account. It doesn't happen all at once. It's slow. It's smiles. It's shared meals. It's someone remembering how you take your tea. And by the time you realise it's a scam, you've already convinced yourself it's love. It's not always about the money either. The real sting is what it takes from you inside. Your trust, your sense of worth. That little spark you thought you'd found again. Thailand can give you some of the happiest days of your life, but it can also serve you the hardest lessons you'll ever learn. If you're coming here, keep your eyes open, your bank account locked tight, and your heart guarded until someone proves they've earned it. And if you think it can't happen to you, well, Oliver probably thought the same thing. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video, subscribe to Inside Thailand, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. It might just save them a lifetime of regret. Stay safe out there. Cheers.